Banker Bill sent me this report on Friday from Christopher Waller, who's a member of the Fed board and one of the top candidates to replace Jerome Powell as chair. It's based on a speech he gave a little bit ago, and it's saying we're ready. We're ready to lower interest rates a scooch. Banker Bill sent it to me for two reasons. He's been saying for months that the Fed wants to cut rates. They're just being held back by Trump's tariff chaos. And this report says that Banker Bill's probably right about that. The other is that I think that while Banker Bill wants to wait a couple months to see what the real impact of the tariffs is going to be on the economy, I think he agrees with the fundamentals of the argument here. I had a really negative reaction. I immediately accused Waller of signaling to Trump that he's willing to take orders so that he gets that Fed job. And Banker Bill was incensed. He said, no, look, yes, the Fed does like to speak with one voice in order to project as much confidence as possible. They're not like those detestable Brits. But this is not a scathing Supreme Court dissent. This is a serious substantive argument that's saying that one member of the board is exactly one notch more aggressive on the issue than the Fed consensus. And I said, yeah, but what about the timing? Isn't the timing suspicious? This is feeding right into Trump's hand just as this issue is coming to a head. And Banker Bill said, no, this was probably scheduled a couple weeks, probably a couple months ago. So no, he didn't think the timing was suspicious. And I said, look, only one of these things can be true. Either it's business as usual, he's naive and he doesn't realize what he's doing, or Waller does know what he's doing, which means he's an opportunist, and just like Dissent and so many other serious people, he's willing to become unserious very quickly if it means getting his hands on power. And to his credit, Banker Bill conceded the point, but he said, look, there are some real political animals, some real sycophants openly campaigning for this job, and we don't want them anywhere near the Fed. And I hate this conversation. This is a conversation we've been having too often in the Trump era. Do we do things the right way, the tried and true way? Or do we compromise our ethics and our efficacy in order to Trump-proof everything, to politicize everything? The more I think about it, though, I think that Banker Bill might have a point. What Waller's done here is he's managed to signal to Trump that he's willing to cut rates. But he's done so with so much substance that the Banker Bills of the world, the bean counters, still think he's one of them. Since Trump is ultimately doing the nominating, if we're going to get a good Fed chair, a Fed chair who's not a sycophant, we need somebody who's able to thread that needle. And maybe it's Waller.